Hi guys, and welcome to the Bradford vs Sunderland match review. So Sunderland have just picked up their second defeat of pre-season by 2-0 against Bradford away from home. Now I do want to just quickly remind everyone that it is only a friendly, so of course I'm not going to sit here going absolutely mental over it. I've seen a lot of people really losing their rag, somewhat understandably in some ways, but it is only pre-season, and if there is simply the case of just getting fitness in the legs, getting some momentum to certain players in terms of getting themselves up to scratch, then yes, you do understand it, or at least you're not as bothered about the defeat. But something that I have said before and during pre-season is I don't mind picking up defeats as long as I can see what we're going for. If there's a sort of system we're trying to go for, a system we're trying to play to, a new system, experimenting something, if you can see the direction the lads are trying to go in. But that was the little bit of the frustration for me. I could not see what kind of system we were trying to play, or at least the focus on our tactical play or what have you, because we did play a different system, don't get me wrong, but to me, tonight, it looked a lot like Alex Neil just had to give a lot of minutes to certain players, because of course, he's trying to tactically give certain players different minutes. He said this after the Rangers game, of course, after it got sort of halted at half-time. He was saying that he has to sort of be clever with giving certain players certain minutes, and he's trying to top up players with different minutes so they're fit for the season ahead. But even in the previous games, you could see what we're trying to do. We're threatening certain areas. You could see what we're going forward. But to me, tonight, it just felt as if we just chucked an 11 together that needed minutes with no real tactical direction, because it really was that poor. Do you know what I mean? Again, I'm not going to lose my rag and sit here and go absolutely apeshit for 10 minutes, because I'm not going to. It's pre-season, do you know what I mean? But it really was, it was terrible. I couldn't see what the lads were trying to do or what they were told to try and do, because we went with a system of Carney in goal, and we had a back three of Alessi, starting his first game for the club, Bart in the middle of a back three, and Winchester on the right of a back three. Then we had the wing backs, we had Taylor on the left, Gooch on the right. We had Matete and Embleton and 09 in the sort of middle trio, but they were kind of swapping and interchanging quite a lot. Clark and Diamond almost as a duo, but sometimes, Embleton might go out wide and Clark will go out on the other wing, and then Diamond would be alone. But it just seemed like it was a bit of a mess in that sense. Sometimes you look in the midfield and they seem to be quite compact, and then the next minute they'd be all over the shot and there'd be gaps all over it. You've got Gooch on one side who was so regular out of position defensively. You can't blame him, but at the same time, I think this game just highlights how drastically we do need reinforcements, because with no disrespect to Bradford, who completely deserved to win, by the way, we really were that poor against this kind of opposition you'd expect, even on paper, even if it isn't our first 11. It just shows that if 2 or 3 of our first team players get injured, this is almost what we're left with, and it isn't good enough, unfortunately. And you could just say it's just a one-off, but in a system like that, it doesn't work, and there was very, very little redeeming factors for me. So getting into the game anyway, he kicked off, and I think the first 45 minutes, both sides were probably equally as bad as each other. I think maybe first 5-10 minutes, we did actually show a little bit of intensity. We were working the ball around the edge of the box without really making anything. But then I think we had a sort of first drinks break, and it just happened to be after that where we just kind of lost all form of intensity. It was slow. I think Bradford probably made the one sort of half-decent chance where they fizzed it across goal and it didn't come to anything. Carney in goal, I was quite looking forward to see him, and for me, sounds harsh, but I think he was poor. He made a couple of decent decisions to come out. He'd come out early and he collected the ball early and he got down low and he was brave a good handful of times. But in terms of, I think there were once or twice in the first half where corners come and he flapped at it, or, he's still got that sort of really young lad's frame. So when you've got 2 big brick shithouses who are sandwiching him in terms of Bradford players, he's getting nowhere near it. He's getting bullied, he's flapping at it. He did that a couple of times. But in terms of us, I think if I want to pinpoint anyone that kind of epitomises the frustration of today's game, I think if you look at someone like Embleton, who I, give him his praises, sing his praises all the time, particularly from the centre. I like how he does try and drag us forward and make things happen, but particularly in that first half, he would do that, get the ball, swivel, go forward, and every single pass, it was just either just overhit or underhit or straight to a Bradford player. But in his sort of defence, a lot of the movement off the ball was shocking. It was non-existent. You could see with Bradford, even though they may have played at times on the counter-attack, they were constantly trying to get runners in behind. Because in that back three, I think Alessi at times he looked brilliant in terms of winning the ball back. He was trying to drag us forward like independently himself because no one else was really making any movement. A little bit like Callum Doyle in a sense, like last year, particularly early on in the season when he get the ball and drag us up the pitch himself. Alessi did do that a handful of times, but Bradford were making these runs in behind, and he was catching out sort of like Danny Bart and Winchester constantly, were just constantly getting tangled with each other. Gooch, he was just positionally, it's all well and good Gooch getting on his back and tracking back and trying to help out, but he doesn't help himself positionally because he isn't a right back, he isn't a right wing back, but positionally it is awful. It is awful. His ability at being positionally sound at right back, which again he isn't. But that's just what worries me. When you don't have Trey Hume, who's still very much untested, he's our only real right back, and then what we're going to fall back on is Gooch, who's positionally awful. Winchester, I like Winchester as a central midfielder. Will he be able to do it in the Championship? No. I think he's going to be used as a utility defender, Winchester. And, if you look at tonight, of course, again, it's only friendly, and it is only a one-off as such, but it was poor. I think at the back, all they did several times was put the ball over the top. Everyone's tangled. There was very little communication, and they would find themselves in behind. I think against a better side, it could have been a lot worse off. But 0-0 at half-time. I think we did eventually make a change in the second half. It was only Sonna that come on. And you can look at the bench and say, if you had someone like Stewart, Robertson, Pritchard, if they brought those kind of players on, it could have easily just spun the game on its head to give us that little bit of creativity and a little bit of bite. But I feel like that's probably the key word. We were just so toothless. That's what happens when you live in Blackpool. You have seagulls as your neighbours. But yeah, up top, we were just so toothless. We had zero bite up top. Diamond just kind of wandering around. I think there was just so little sort of communication there. Clark was sometimes drifting out wide and then going down the centre next to Diamond. But there was just no movement at all. And Clark, when he was finding space out on that left-hand side, a lot of the time, he was cut a very, very frustrated figure because we just wouldn't pass it. Matete in the middle, his passing range was absolutely god-awful. There was a time with about, I think it was 5-10 minutes left, and it looked like he just passed it straight out of play for someone to be injured, because that's what it looked like to everyone else, including the commentators. And it wasn't. It was actually an attempted pass, and it was genuinely baffling. But in terms of the goals, anyway, they early on in the second half, they managed to work it down the left-hand side, got inside or around the outside of Winchester. He got shrugged off the ball way too easily. Then number 7, I believe it was. Forgive me, I forget his name. It's a very, very tight angle, bearing down on goal. He's hit it relatively hard and low. Not an absolute thunderbolt of a shot, but he's hit it relatively hard and low. But it is straight at Jacob Carney, and you'd expect him to gather it, and it's gone straight through his legs and into the back of the net. And we made a couple of chances here and there, get the ball in the box, but there's no one there. When the likes of Clark did get it on the left, or Gooch got it on the right, there was no one in the box. Absolutely no one in the box at all, and that's what I mean. If Stewart's not on the pitch, we've got no target man to look for. The creation around the box, either like to Pritchard or Roberts, that wasn't there. And we caught a very, very frustrated team, particularly in that final third, because we were just so poor. We didn't threaten them at all. We didn't work them at their back line at all throughout the game. And you think with that lineup on paper, they'd at least test them somewhat. But they weren't. It was really, really that poor. And again, it sounds like I'm going, over critical. I'm not mad. I'm not necessarily sat here fuming or angry because it is only pre-season, but I'm just telling you what I'm seeing or what I saw. And eventually they get a penalty as well. Mix up at the back again. We're just all over the place, tangled. It's a penalty. And they put it away past Patterson, sends in the wrong way. Good penalty. But yeah, towards the back end of the game, very little. Like I say, they brought on Sonna, no one else. I don't believe what I can remember anyway. But yeah, there was a few little passive moves that were okay. But then it's just everyone off the ball just seemed very slow. I don't know whether they're just tired or what. I'm not too sure. But, the urgency and the tempo was just, it was so slow. And again, I've never seen us look so toothless. And there was such a lack of creativity, and they just didn't look threatening whatsoever from the first minute until the last, unfortunately, and that's the be all and end all of it. But hopefully, Alex Neil sorts them out. Again, it's only pre-season. I'm not crying. It's just this is what I saw, and that's what I mean when I say with pre-season games. I just like to see at least what we were going for. Do you know what I mean? If we did still get beat 2-0, but I thought, oh, actually, he went for this, a bit of wing play maybe. Oh, it's trying this out down the centre. But I couldn't see anything. For me, it just looked a lot like a lot of blood players were randomly thrown together and said, go and see what you can do. That's what it looked like tonight, which I wasn't massively a fan of. And of course, the scoreline. But there you go. It is only pre-season for me. Again, it just highlights that we need several bodies in, because a handful of our top sort of players or our first team players, they get injured, and we need to fall back on that. We could be in a lot of trouble. Maybe in a different system that could have done a lot better, but that back three and everything, it just didn't work. Particularly the centre, it was just a mess. It gives nothing going forward, and with no natural striker on the pitch as well, that obviously isn't going to help towards the whole toothless side of our game. But that's it, guys. Did you watch the game? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and please hit the subscribe button. I'll be giving you reviews, previews throughout the season as much as humanly possible, and if you are enjoying them, please subscribe. Like I say, I'm so close to 15k, and it really would make my year if we managed to do it ASAP. Now, this weekend we are taking on Accrington Stanley away, and of course I'm going to that game, so I don't think you'll be getting a review for that one. I know I just said that we're going to be giving you previews and reviews throughout the season, but I'm going to the game, and then I'm busy pretty much straight after. But yeah, there's plenty of other Sunderland YouTubers that'll cover it a lot better than me anyway, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, if I do see you down at Accrington, don't hesitate to say hi. I always love meeting you guys and having a pint and stuff like that. Always nice. But yeah, there we go, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. Am I being a little bit harsh here, or do you think it was just generally an accurate sort of way to describe the game that's going on tonight? Are you worried? Do you think we need more signings, or do you think it's okay? Do you think it's a one-off? What do you think about pre-season games in general? Let me know in the comments down below. But there we go. Like, subscribe, stay jammy, and I'll see you in a bit.